When I parted with these fine people a few hours later, I not only had great pictures as trophies, but I also found a lodge where they had an excellent breakfast. And they had a rare sorghum beer, at least a commercial one in a drinking carton. The sorghum beers of Africa are really different from all other beers. Unlike the rice beer in China, they're made of sorghum, and they actually contain a lot of the grains, a lot of the sorghum malt in there. And as you open it, which can prove to be quite difficult, you get a very milk-like drink. See? Looks like milk. You can see some of the grain still in there. And the aroma and the taste is more of porridge and of milk than of beer. But it actually contains something like 3% alcohol. Quite sour. The more the beer matures, the more lactic acidity is built up in it, and there's also lots of alcohol that are building up. So it starts out with no sourness and no alcohol out of the brewery, but then as it matures over a few days, it gets this typical touch of a sorghum beer. After a night with sorghum beer and interesting conversations at the safari lodge, I got up very early and started hiking to my next destination. Thank God my new buddies picked me up before I got lost and offered to take me to one of the 3 capital cities of South Africa, Cape Town. I was dropped off at one of the townships outside the city border. Though much more tranquil than it was under apartheid, it is still a troubled but significant place for my journey.
In recent years, homebrewing has become popular, especially in the US since the 1970s when it became legal. But the fact is that homebrewing existed over many centuries in many cultures, including America, including Germany, and of course Africa. Africa has the longest standing culture of homebrewing, and homebrewing is still done here by women. Women that brew in their homes the traditional sorghum beer.
I met Nosiseko Roxwana at her home at Gugulethu, and in the backyard she showed me a brewery that was entirely different from the ones I had seen early in my life. The beer she brews is for consumption at family festivities. Therefore, she sends prayers to her ancestors, telling them about the upcoming event before she starts brewing. The brewing circle takes almost 2 days. On the first day, Nosiseko starts preparing a mash from sorghum malt, boils it, cools it, and lets it rest overnight. The next morning, she starts another one and adds some of last day's mash to the hot mixture. At this point, the paste from the day before has already begun to ferment, as wild yeasts have settled there during the night. Some of her fellow family members believe that these wild yeasts are sent by the ancestors to make the brew work. The new mixture is also cooled down, and after about half an hour, the consistency is more like that of dough. Nosiseko then adds more malt, water, and a bit of finished sorghum beer. Since it's a living organism containing yeast and lactic bacteria, it helps again to get the fermentation going. At the final stage, the liquid and the spent grains are separated, pretty much like in a modern industrial-sized brewery, but with simpler technology. It's undoubtedly hands-on brewing, sort of antique African craft brewing in its purest sense.